Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time worldwide. And now we are on the iHeart Radio Network with an outreach of over 250 million people in their platform. So thank you very much, iHeart Radio and Charlton and Big C Sports, the $1 Million Show. And we are the hottest growing sports show in the United States of America. So thank you, iHeart Radio, for that. Also, I have Big C. He's calling in from the East Coast, as he always does. And he has a great history in this business, over 40 years as an all-pro football player, and also done television and radio on the national level. Big C, how are things going down for you good old boys in the Moonshine State called the Southeast, Big C?
Well, Charlton, we getting what you guys love so much out there in California. We're getting rain, and a lot of it, man. You know, it is wet back here. It is hot and humid.
Yeah.
You know, you can tell that football season is rolling up. That's when the humidity, when you walk outside and start sweating.
Well, speaking of sweating, you would think the IRS is coming back around but that was back on April 15th, so you good old boys don't have to sweat over that, Big C. But speaking, I know some of the good old boys down south, they want to succeed from the union, so they don't believe in the government paying their taxes, Big C. But I also want to thank you, Big C, for all the great work that you've done, and of course, with the iHeart Radio Network, such a large platform, and getting a lot of good feedback from people talking about Charlton and Big C Sports, so we appreciate that very much. We're not here just to read your scores. We want to talk about some of the real things in sports. That's why we call it Real Talk, Big C. But I do want to bring up, you know, we talk about Hollywood, and you blend Hollywood with the best of them. And I know we talk about guys like Jamie Foxx and how not only did he start out with In Living Color, I believe with the Wayans, he's such a tremendous actor, Big C. And he's played some great sports movies, too, over the years, Big C. Your thoughts on Jamie Foxx?
Jamie Foxx has done a tremendous job of growth over the years. You know, just being a script character on In Living Color when he started that years ago back in the 80s, Charlton. And, you know, you look at his growth over time. You know, he's worked with such great actors as Al Pacino, Bruce Willis. You know, he has gone across the gamut. Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
So he's done so many wonderful movies over the years. And, you know, when you think about the broadness of what he's done, and, you know, not only as an actor, entertainer, but also as a singer. I mean, the great role he did as Ray Charles.
Oh, amazing.
Several years ago.
That was amazing.
Collaborations on music tracks.
Yeah.
But, you know, this is a guy who sits back, he examines Hollywood. You know, even the sports shows like ESPN now has recognized his talent as far as bringing him on to be a guest talker on a sports show. You know, this is what Hollywood has done. They've realized that these guys have great careers.
Yeah.
But they're also great fans and normal people as far as wanting to be out and be a part of the scene. Just like us, Charlton. We're normal, we're real, we tell the truth that you're not going to get every day from the talking heads.
Yeah.
But we also talk to social and societal issues, parts of sports also.
Yeah, and I appreciate very, very much, Big C. I never want to be known as just a sycophant or some dumb jock, as a lot of people, they freely say that about athletes, Big C. But I do want to say today is beautiful July the 18th, 2016, and I'm almost tired of saying this, but it's just real. You know, my heart goes out to the 6 officers that were gunned down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, just on Sunday, and there were 3 that lost their lives. And you know, they wake up in the morning looking to protect and serve. And I know a lot of people, they turn to a sports program and they just want to hear who won the game. They want to hear if the Giants beat the Dodgers or if the Giants beat the Red Sox or whomever. And that's great too. But our officers, they keep us safe. I was talking to a law enforcement officer just over the weekend, and I was asking him, what are we going to do to end some of the violence that's gone on between law enforcement and also just regular civilians? And his solution was, it just takes more outreach, because people have to know that you're on their side. And there's always been war in the history of the United States. Also been war throughout the history of the world, Big C. But this violent stuff is more prominent now because everyone has a camera, Big C, and everyone can show you what just happened. So you're down in the South, Big C. You're around the SEC and covering those states. What do you think is going to come? What's the solution, Big C? What are your thoughts on that?
You know, Charlton, the world has always wanted a solution to end violence.
Yeah.
And I think we're at a point of martial law and Armageddon all together. Yes, we have a great society here in America, but I don't care where you live in the world, and as you speak of about the trifling things that have occurred here
Yeah.
in America. The same that they've had in France and Belgium and other parts around the world. How do you stop the person who is hell-bent on causing somebody else harm, Charlton?
Yeah.
Regardless of where we are, and people want to put it on a radical group, they want to put it on a religion. We're having people do that.
Yeah.
But you have to put it on the guns, Charlton.
Yeah.
Bottom line, that gun is made by a couple different companies in America that are very profitable and in a couple other spots around the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not the individual, Charlton, it's the gun.
Yeah.
The individual is only a vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay? It's like driving down the freeway and we see an accident on the freeway. The individual driving that car may not have wanted to be in that accident.
Yeah.
But they were in it because that vehicle that hit them caused that accident, Charlton.
Yeah.
And that's what we have with the guns.
Yeah.
They talk about screening people for, mental illness. How many people in America are licensed? Athletes, private citizens, businessmen, guards. The police, we understand, need this weaponry.
Yeah.
But the average citizen on the street, Charlton, does not. And, when we look at society as a whole, Charlton, and I'm not being naive, 90% of the police force across America are the greatest people in the world.
Yeah, they're excellent.
90% of them are the greatest people in the world, Charlton. But there's that 10% that have caused havoc and danger for that great 90%, Charlton, just like in society. 90% of society is good, Charlton.
Yeah.
It is, across the board. But we got 10% of society that makes life in peril for the other 90%. Whether it's in sports, when you look at athletics and you see an athlete get in trouble, they say, I knew he was going to do that.
Yeah.
But all the athletes don't do that, Charlton. We got that 10% attrition rate even in athletics.
Yeah.
That people are doing wrong, whether it's criminal activity, whatever type of criminal activity that it is, but it's not legal.
Yeah.
So these are the things we have to look at in society. How do we correct that 10%, whether it's in law enforcement, whether it's in society, whether it's in athletics, that continuously do wrong, Charlton?
Yeah, that's true, Big C. And I also want to say that this segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Escalade, the standard of the world. And you can only get it there brand new. And when you go by and test drive it, tell them that Charlton and Big C sent you. Also, there's another fact about in California police shootings in California in the last decade. There were 1,130 people killed during the last decade, the last 10 years, including 130 people in 2015. That's in just California alone, the largest state in the union. And I know there's some states in the country where you have open carry. And one of the things that, we're all getting into the sports season. We just had the All-Star game down at Petco Park in beautiful San Diego, California. And there are people who complain that it takes too long to get into a game because they're being frisked and they have these metal detectors. Now, if you're a sports fan and you're going to a game, I actually welcome that, Big C, because there was a few years back where we had the San Francisco Giants were playing the LA Dodgers and a guy got beaten up down at Chavez Ravine Dodger Stadium.
Serious brain damage.
Yeah, brain damage.
In the stands.
Yeah.
Because he was wearing the wrong colors.
Yeah, and that wasn't
of the opposing team.
Yeah, and that wasn't about being gunned down, but this is it's a sea change in our world, because sometimes we can keep our heads, in the sand, and we just want to go see the game. We want to see, the Falcons beat the Saints. We want to go see the Raiders beat the Broncos, or the Patriots beat the Jets. But this is a new reality for all of us who love sports, and this is from the high school level to the college level and to the professional level. The times of not being frisked or walking through metal detectors, those days are gone. Because you think about it, law enforcement, we call them to protect us when things happen. Well, they're the ones being gunned down now. Not as much as maybe some violent crimes happening in different cities, major cities. We need law enforcement to be safe. So let me ask you, the people who think law enforcement is too tough on you and you love your sports teams. If law enforcement doesn't show up, who are you going to call? That's why it's so important to respect the badge. We know about 95% of officers are really good. There are also some bad ones. And I'm talking to a police officer that told me this stuff. Just like any profession has good and bad people. So while we want to go buy our hats for the Giants, or we want to buy hats for the Falcons or the Jets or whoever we want to represent, maybe we're the Lakers, maybe we're the Celtics, the days of not walking through metal detectors is changing in the world of sports. And I want to bring this up to you, Big C, because we talked about the NFL and social outreach. I know Jim Brown had talked about that for Muhammad Ali's passing. And they had LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony, and Chris Bosh at the ESPYs just last week. And they were saying how they can reach back to the community. So any parent listening, any athlete listening, I want to ask you, and I want to get this from you, Big C, because you're down in the South where people carry guns all the time. But I want to ask them, do they welcome being searched and frisked when they go into a sporting event, or do they still see that as an offense? I think it's necessary, and I think it's going to be something that we see more often, Big C. What are your thoughts on that?
Charlton, it is not an invasion of privacy. You know, I would like to see those type of securities put in place in movie theaters where we've had tragic shootings, even, you know, malls where we've had tragic shootings, and just the layman people walking in there. But people, for sporting events, Charlton, a copious amount of money to be comfortable and safe. And law enforcement has been around forever. When you think about it, when you have a victory parade, who's out there on the horses?
There's a law enforcement.
Law enforcement is a critical part of the sporting world, Charlton. They are there to protect the private citizen as well as the athlete. If you did not have this type of tight security in arena, what if a lone nut or multiple nuts want to get into an arena during a major sporting event? I mean, there's been movies done over the years. I don't know if you're old enough to remember, but there was a movie, Black Sunday, that was done with Bruce Dern in it.
You trying to say I'm a young man? Are you calling me young man, Big C? Is that what you're trying to say? Is that age discrimination? Charlton and Big C?
On Super Bowl Sunday, when the Steelers were playing the Cowboys years ago, where they had this incident where they wanted this dirigible to go in and explode over the Orange Bowl down in Miami. But, you know, you've had other events also at sporting events, Charlton, where, you know, this alleged, you know, these victorial scenarios have occurred. But law enforcement has always been there to spoil the plot, Charlton, in the movie. Also in real life. Law enforcement is a critical part of America being comfortable at a sporting event. They are there outside the arena, they're there inside the arena. We see the ones that are in uniform, but we don't see the ones that are undercover. But they're there to serve and protect. The private citizens of America need to understand that law enforcement is there to serve and protect. The critical part with law enforcement, Charlton, is respect. You have to respect the entity that's there. If you cooperate, don't have an attitude when you get pulled over or stopped or spoken with, just cooperate with the guy. He wants to go home just like you do. It does not have to be confrontational. Don't make it that way. Don't escalate a calm situation. And it's just like in a sporting event. In a sporting event, you know what the guidelines are for playing the game. If you foul somebody, you're going to get called for it in a basketball game. Okay? In baseball, if you rush the mound, you're going to get fined for that scenario and get kicked out or even suspended, Charlton. In football, you throw a punch, the same thing. You're going to get flagged and tossed out of the game. So you have to respect where you are.
Well, see,
it's just like the officials on the field and on the court. That's what law enforcement is in life. You have to respect their position.
Well, see, speaking of respecting their position, I also want to say that this segment is sponsored by the California Lottery. What can a buck do for you, Big C? I've been saying for the last couple of months, well, let's be honest, the last couple of years, that I'm going to win that $100 million lottery. I think it's up to $300 million. Okay, I keep asking the attendant when I buy the ticket, I want the winning ticket. They keep telling me, I wonder if I can bring cause against them by saying, because it hasn't cashed out yet, but I know Charlton and Big C Sports are going to hit that $100 million any day now, Big C. But I want to bring this up right here because it's kind of a touchy subject. And we know we have the Republican convention in Ohio, and that's coming up tomorrow night. And I know there's so many people that are a part of that, and they've had, of course, Donald Trump, who's one of the most truculent candidates we've ever had running for president. He also owned the sports team in the New Jersey Generals, and he tried to buy the Buffalo Bills, but the NFL blocked him. Now, here's a guy, again, irrespective of who you like politically, I just want you to keep in mind as we have officers being gunned down. Here's a guy that says to the people that go to his rallies, if someone's trying to overshout you, beat the hell out of them, and then I'll pay your legal bills. Okay, so that's coming to fruition because people are actually taking that to heart. Some people are too dumb to understand that that's not what he really means, but maybe he does mean that. So when it comes to social responsibility, I want to bring this up. And this is always controversial. And again, talking to a law enforcement officer about what happened down in Dallas, and we've seen what's happened in Nice, France, and now Baton Rouge, Louisiana. As an African-American man, I'm saying, what happens to the marches when blacks kill blacks? What happens to all the TV coverage when blacks kill blacks? What happens to the TV coverage when whites kill whites or Hispanics kill Hispanics? There's always this black and white thing. And the only time people march by the thousands in the streets is when there's a white officer that shoots a young black kid. And of course, I want the violence to stop. But I think we have to start policing our kids from within. You know if your kid is out there doing dirt. Don't leave that up to law enforcement. And I don't care what color you are, because we're all Americans. But if your kid is doing wrong, don't blame it on the cops. You got to look at your kid's behavior. Yeah, that's always that 5% bad police officers. But Big C, why is there never a shout and cry in March when young black kids harm other black kids, Big C?
Well, Charlton, that is the biggest cry that I have. They talk about Black Lives Matter. You have to matter to black people first, Charlton.
Yeah.
They honestly do. I go back to the incident back this summer, Charlton, when the gorilla was shot in the Cleveland Zoo.
Yeah.
Okay? There was outcry around the world because this young child's life was potentially in peril.
Yeah.
So they killed the gorilla.
Yeah.
That same week, Charlton, in Chicago, 66 blacks were shot. 6 died.
Yeah.
But we never saw any of that on the news, but for an entire week, Charlton, we saw this gorilla incident in the zoo with the young boy, and we didn't see the killing.
Yeah.
But it was there.
Yeah.
But that was more important to America and the world than the 66 lives that were gunned down in Chicago.
Yeah.
Only 6 died, but 66 people are shot, Charlton. 69 people are shot in one city.
Yeah.
Not a state, but one city.
Yeah.
And nationally, it did not matter because they were black.
Yeah.
Well, when we think about the criticalness of the news outlets, which are just like sports outlets, they all run by the same companies.
Yeah.
At what point do they hold an air responsibility to America to tell the truth?
Yeah.
That's what they need to do. It's just like the third officer got off today in the Freddie Gray scenario in Baltimore.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect any of these officers to be convicted for doing their job.
Right.
But what about the incidents? Show us the young black men that are shot on the street, the young black ladies that are shot on the street.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. Who are you going out arresting? And when this happens, who's called on? Law enforcement.
Law enforcement is, yeah.
Law enforcement is called on. You're not calling your buddies down the street with the 9mm.
Yeah.
You're calling law enforcement for help.
Well, see, Big C, that's so important because, and again, I grew up where I saw skinheads, I saw Bloods and Crips, I saw the guys that were just off in their own, their warped thinking, okay? But some people do the gang thing because they want to. And I was talking to some officers that patrolled gangs because we think about, you want to go to the sporting event, right? But if you're taking your kids, and I'm not just blaming any fan base, but something in Oakland, the Black Hole, where the Raiders play, there's a lot of profanity that's used, and I'm sure you could have that in any area, Big C. But I was talking to law enforcement because I want.
I at the car wash the other day.
Yeah, well, see, it's every place, Big C. But I'm talking about the people that are going to get liquored up. They're going to get to tailgating and going into our sports arenas, and they want to know how they can keep their kids safe. And when something goes down, the first thing they're going to do, they're going to call 911 or they're going to call the police. So as a parent myself, I'm telling my kids, you're responsible for what happens to you. I know you want to go to the football game. I know you want to wear a jersey. You want to go to the basketball game. But I want to ask you about social responsibility. We know Roger Goodell is doing the best job he can as the commissioner of the NFL, okay? But we think there's a bias in his treatment of the African-American punishment compared to the Caucasian athletes. You could look at Johnny Manziel, look at Ray Rice. They both hit women. One, they tried to get him into counseling. The other, he lost his career. And there's a number of incidents that go on. But I'm telling people, don't make excuses, okay? You can't make excuses and say because you're a color, you're being, ostracized or you're being picked on. We know that bias happens. But I still want to hold people responsible, Big C. Before I get your response, I just want to say that this segment is sponsored by United Labor Insurance, guaranteed $100,000 life insurance with no medical questions. Also, they're endorsed by the American Cancer Society and the American Heart Association with no medical questions. And tweet out the Charlton and Big C Sports. You can also listen to us worldwide on the iHeart Radio Network. So, Big C, when Roger Goodell is talking about responsibility, social responsibility, they even ferret out the punishment differently when it comes to people of color compared to the the white quarterbacks or the white athletes in the league too. And if people don't talk about it the way we do on Charlton and Big C Sports, we just think that, hey, this is just common. But there is a bias even in punishment in the criminal justice system, even in the NFL, Big C. So how can they talk about social outreach when they're not even just in their own ferreting out of punishment, Big C? Your thoughts on that, Big C?
Well, when you look at Roger Goodell, how he's gone after certain athletes over the years, and the minority scenario, getting on players about their lifestyle. I mean, a rich man lives the way a rich man wants to live, Charlton. Whether he's frivolous with his money, or he just wants to put it away.
Yeah.
Roger Goodell in his policing actions of the league, if you look at his suspensions that he has doled out, because he's the number one cop in the NFL.
Yeah.
You look at the percentage. It's like in society, African Americans are unfavorably judged and punished.
Yeah.
When you look at these scenarios, and you talked about Johnny Manziel. How many times can Johnny Manziel be drunk in public as a representative for the NFL prior to him being cut by the Browns?
Yeah.
How many times could he strike women?
Yeah.
And not be punished? And we've seen that on multiple events with him. But Johnny Manziel was supposed to be this boyhood savior for part of the NFL and the Cleveland Browns, even though he could not play football at that level.
Yeah.
So, when you go around and you look at this, what's condoned and not condoned by professional leagues, I mean, baseball has finally gotten it right where they're suspending players 30, 40, 50, 80 games for striking and battering women.
Yeah.
The NFL has not done that yet because it's the good old boys being the good old boys. And Goodell has let so many players get away with it. I mean, we had a quarterback a couple of years ago, starting quarterback in the NFL, who less than 1 year, twice, was accused of sexual improprieties against women. And he never got suspended.
Right.
And he continued to play, Charlton. He still continues to play today and has a $100 million contract.
Yeah.
But that's what you look at. Yet you can have an African-American quarterback, Charlton, who gets stopped with substance. All of a sudden, he's out of the league.
Yeah.
And so this is how we're looking at it, injustice and inequality as far as how you deal with players on a disciplinary level in the league. And Goodell really needs to take a step back and look. I mean, there's one white player that he treated like a black player, and that was Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Because Brady was bigger than him. So he wanted to make sure that he was the number one honcho in the league. And so he pursued Brady, and I would wonder what the overall cost of that was, Charlton.
I'm sure it was in the millions. In the millions of dollars, Big C.
Millions, Charlton. Over $10 million in the pursuit of that. And I wonder how would that have benefited a program that the NFL could have sponsored for the youth in America.
Yeah, and
not a sporting program, Charlton, an educational program.
Yeah, and see, you're right about that.
Put that back
into
the community.
Yeah, you're talking about what Jim Brown came out and said with Harry Edwards out of Cal Berkeley, and also Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. And I know you're not going to hear this stuff on ESPN or Fox because they're just going to tell you about the score. They're going to tell you that Henrik Stenson had a great golf win over Phil Mickelson in the British Open, and that's great. Congratulations. But at the same time, if we talk about equality in our workforce, and this is again talking to the police officer, because I want to feel safe when I go to a sporting event. I want my kids to feel safe when they go to a sporting event. But it's deeper than that, because sports, unlike church, sports is more integrated than church. We talk about let's pray for people. But when you think about praying for people, that's a great thing. But churches are more segregated than the sporting events. I challenge anyone that's going to church and going to sports. Look around your environment. When you go into your church or when you go into your sporting stadium, which one is more segregated? Which one is more homogenous? I do believe that Jim Brown was onto something, as well as Harry Edwards. Sports will bring our society together. It's the one thing that we all can do that we can say we have something in common with. And I hope that more people will start utilizing that, Big C. I want to also say that this segment is sponsored by Goosehead Property and Casualty Insurance. When it comes to a quote, we beat about 98% of the people in business. Also by One Life America. I'm a broker with One Life America. We're the leaders in the country when it comes to final expense. You can also follow us on the iHeart Radio Network, as well as the NFL football is going to be covered this year with iHeart Radio and a lot of other sporting events, along with Fox Sports, etc. You can follow Charlton and Big C Sports. So, Big C, I want to bring this up because I'm so passionate about the sports business, and I'm so passionate that it's the way that our society will come together, whether it's men or women. But I want every woman that listens to this, because sports is a billion-dollar industry, and the foundation of this billion-dollar industry is of boys and girls sports. The NFL had a thing, if you recall, Big C, where don't hit women. Remember that? They all wore pink, and they had these athletes crying on television. Remember that, Big C?
Well, I remember back during the Super Bowl when they said enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
It lasted during Super Bowl week, Charlton. Enough is enough. No, that's 52 weeks out of the year, not just that 1 year when you have your largest audience.
Yeah.
The NFL does a misrepresentation to a lot of women. And Charlton, 36% of our viewing and listening audience are female. And I really appreciate every one of those intelligent women who listen to our show Monday through Friday.
Yeah, because you can only listen if you're intelligent. For Charlton and Big C, we have a filter, so that's why we appreciate the women audience also at Big C. Go right ahead.
To have those intelligent women understanding what we're talking about, whether it's societal or whether it's sports, Charlton, but it's very important that they're protected by society. Law enforcement does a tremendous job in protecting women in society, but every man socially needs to have that conscience that women are very valuable and precious, and you do not put your hands on them. I have a daughter, and that's one of the things that I always have taught her brothers. And, that's the life that we live. You protect her. But regardless of what the situation is, you protect her. And everybody will tell me, family, friends, you treat her different. No, I treat her how a woman should be treated. This is how she's been raised. This is what she's witnessed her entire life. And this is what she should expect in her adult life.
Well, see?
And so that's what you have to have with women out there in protecting them. And every professional league should have a guideline as far as what they do. They should even have pamphlets in stadiums when you walk in.
I agree.
Respect and protect women.
Well, see, and I understand, and it goes both ways too. No one should hit anyone, but when the NFL, and I applaud them for coming out and saying this one time when they had this commercial where guys were crying and saying they just don't want to do it anymore. They need to get help. But think about this too. It should be a weekly mantra. Okay, a weekly mantra, because if you want to keep women safe, all the knucklehead men that abuse women, and they're out there, they need to know that you're going to have 911 called on you. Okay, nothing about, hey, I forgive him, he was just mad. No, call 911, let him tell law enforcement his story. Because if men don't stand up for women, who's going to do it? And sometimes we have these Neanderthal men in sports leagues, and I'm just going to keep it real. Sometimes we don't say anything. I remember one time back in 1996, and I was working a game with CBS over at the Coliseum in Oakland, and I remember this all-pro football player. He's about 6'6", 300 pounds. He was in the parking lot just yelling at this woman that's maybe about 5'5", maybe 130 pounds. And I feel guilty because I didn't say anything. And I was walking with about 30 other media members. I didn't say anything because I did not want to lose my media credential. I'm ashamed that I kept silent at that time. I'm not silent anymore. And I'm asking men and women, if you see something going on, let people feel safe, especially the women in our lives. And if you're a knucklehead man that likes to hit a woman, what would you do if someone's hit your mother or your daughter? So if you don't have the balls to stand up for women, at least Charlton and Big C Sports can do that, Big C. And I want to make that important. Everybody has to understand that, especially with sports coming. And before we get to our last segment, Big C, I want to say this segment is also sponsored by BeneathHisWingsFoundation.org. Make a donation today. It's easy, it's fast, and secure. And when it comes to promotions, contact CYNN Entertainment. Cynthia Evans, she's the best at promotions in Northern California. And when you know, let her know that Charlton and Big C sent you. Also on the iHeartRadio network worldwide, you can listen to Charlton and Big C Sports in Australia. You can listen to us in Canada. We're also in Britain, Latin America, and of course the great United States of America, Big C. In our final segment, I want to bring this up because unlike some of the major networks, when they talk about the sports business, they just want to run down scores. Okay, congratulations, one team beat another team. But when it comes to social outreach, I'm really calling for Nike, Phil Knight at Nike. I know you have tennis shoes and you have hats and football signed with the Nike swoosh. You get the free advertisement whenever there's a game on, especially college football. But when's the last time Phil Knight came out and said we want to make a sponsorship to inner city schools where there's poor white and black kids, or kids of all great groups and races, Spanish kids, Spanish American speaking kids, whatever it is. We know Donald Trump wants to build a wall, and that's a passively racist way of ostracizing people. I think we're all Americans. We all have a right to feel safe in our country. When you spread this fear about building a wall, you give some knuckleheads the ability to go out and harm people because they have your endorsement. So I hope he really turns on that, saying that hate speech, but I hope people turn against him at the polls because I have Latin Americans in my family. And I don't want to explain to them how you're going to be racially profiled because one of the world leaders is trying to tell people that it's okay. It's not okay. But I want to ask you this, Big C. What can Nike, whether it's the NFL or the NBA, what can they do, whether it's college football or professional sports, what can they do to start being to reach back to the inner cities and the poor kids in our society the way Jim Brown talked about? Don't just leave it up to the athletes, Big C. Your thoughts on that?
Well, Charlton, it's not just a sports apparel thing. It's a corporate American thing, Charlton. We have Under Armour, we have Nike, we have Adidas, we have Reebok. We have these major shoe companies. And one of the things you have to do is, they push all these athletes and put the apparel on their back because these athletes athletes are advertisers for
Yeah,
Charlton.
free advertising.
Free advertisement, and they get it every day. And you know, the NBA next year is going to sponsorship on the uniforms.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of chintzy, but you know it is. And why can't these NFL put sponsorship for our police departments? To serve and protect.
Yeah.
Respect the blue.
Yeah.
These are the things that sporting companies and professional teams want to put sponsorship on. Put the sponsorship of the real people that you don't pay attention to
Yeah.
that help you survive and your league survive every day by adding security
Yeah.
and that air of comfortness that when you come to an arena that you're going to be protected by law enforcement.
Yeah.
Recognize these people. Don't wait till we have a tragedy in America at a sporting event. Say we're going to have a moment of silence for a fallen officer, and we hate to hear that sound, fallen officer.
Yeah.
But at a sporting event, just like you're singing the national anthem, give out respect and homage to those who wear the blue and do a wonderful job for Americans 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, Charlton.
Yeah.
We need law enforcement. We need cooperation between the citizens, the athletes, and law enforcement, Charlton. America has just gone awry. But athletics is the thing, the common denominator that brings America together. Everyone loves it. And without the support of our local and national and state law enforcement agencies,
Yeah.
these sporting events, whether they're high school, Pop Warner, college, professional, are not going to exist, Charlton.
Yeah.
So let's get off this talk, and I mean it's not going to go away.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to continue to say Black Lives Matter. They have to matter more to black people than anybody
Yeah.
else. Once they matter more to black people than anybody else, Charlton,
Yeah.
then black lives will really matter. We got all these gang members, we got all these rappers, and they're holding these little town hall meetings talking about we got to stop the violence. Who started the violence against blacks on blacks?
Yeah.
Who started that?
Yeah.
So how do you stop it? It's like a dripping faucet. It won't stop. You have to replace it. And the only way you replace this, Charlton, is through education.
Yeah.
Police do not consciously want to go out and harm lives, Charlton.
No.
They do not.
No.
It's just like an athlete going to a game. He doesn't want to go into a game and get hurt.
Yeah.
But it's part of the business. It's the chance you take every time you step into that arena that an injury may occur.
Yeah.
Just as a police officer, he knows when he walks out of that building of work
Yeah.
that he has all this armor and firepower with him. There's potentially a chance that something may go wrong that day.
Yeah.
But that's not his intentions, Charlton. So, but when you're a young person walking down the street and you got a 9mm gun in your pocket and it's not licensed,
Yeah.
and you want to be a gang member, you're going out intentionally looking for something negative. That's not what law enforcement looks for.
Well,
that's not what athletes
yeah.
look for, Charlton.
Yeah, well, see, Big C, in the world of sports, and we keep it real, this is Charlton and Big C Sports worldwide every Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. on the iHeartRadio network. But I want to bring up this last segment, Big C, because I think it's so important. It's so important that we make our kids understand, no matter what color you are, whether you're black, white, atheist, agnostic, Christian, no matter what you call yourself, we're all people. We're all on the same planet together, and sports will galvanize people. I believe that it will because it did for me. I grew up around guys that sometimes they call themselves skinheads. Sometimes guys call themselves Bloods and Crips, and they were about trying to harm each other, and they even looked alike, Big C. That's the crazy thing about it. But I don't see big marches going on when black-on-black crime happens or white-on-white crime happens, or whether it's Latino on Latino crime happens, or some of the Asian gangs. And this is coming from law enforcement. I know we got to reach out to our clergy because we all love sports. Sometimes we got to tell people to treat each other in society the way we do at a sporting arena. We all laugh and talk and have a good time and cheer for your team. It doesn't mean we come to blows. So, Big C, I want to keep women safe in this environment because sometimes they're the silent victims. And if you're a woman going through something, call 911. Don't fall for anyone's garbage. Just call 911. And when you call 911, you're not going to have some knucklehead in a gang that shows up to help you. It's going to be a guy in a blue uniform. So teach our kids to respect law enforcement. I think that's so important. And for the bad officers, I hope the good officers will turn on you. Because we understand there's very few of you, but you don't need to be in that profession. You really are there to protect and serve. I commend all the officers that do a great job of that, Big C. But in the last minute of the program, you know that Alabama and USC is playing in this kickoff classic down south, and we know USC is going to beat Alabama, and there's going to be a lot of law enforcement down there at Texas Stadium too with Jerry Jones. But your thoughts on, and one more thing because it's so important, what can we do to let sports be I guess, a conduit for people to have more peace and for people to have more interaction with different groups, Big C. How can sports bring people together? Your thoughts, Big C?
Well, Charlton, sports is a great conduit. And we think about the calmest 3 hours in America, and that's during a football game, Charlton, whether it's college or professional.
Yeah.
That is the calmest 3 hours in America. And we have to find an antidote for that to service every day. When you look at the violence level in America that's going on right now, Charlton, football season is not going on.
Yeah.
And we've tried to have year-round football here in America, and other leagues fight against it. But for some reason, the crime level drops during football season.
Yeah.
Because it's that sedative that everybody's involved in, male, female, regardless of the race, Charlton, is that people sit down and pay attention because it's a soother.
Yeah.
And we have to find that drug that America produces in minds of the private citizens that make everybody great fans. They're animate about their teams, Charlton. They can't wait till the weekend.
Yeah.
That's what we need to find year-round in America. Sports produces that, especially football.
Yeah.
But all these other sports that the season is so long in, it's like, hey, we got another game next week or tomorrow, whatever. But in sports, you're concentrated on it, and it takes away a lot of negativity in America.
Yeah.
In football. And so if we could find that level of consciousness that we have during that 4 months of the football season, to supplant the rest of the year in America, the crime rate would go down.
Yeah.
And everybody else would be a little more peaceful.
Well, speaking of peace, I want everyone to know that we thank you for listening to Charlton and Big C Sports worldwide on the iHeartRadio network every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time. All around the world, you can find out what Charlton and Big C are thinking. And we thank you for keeping up the dialogue. Teach our kids to respect law enforcement. Teach our kids to be safe. For all the men out there, respect women. For the women out there, respect men. We love talking sports, but we also love being safe in our society. Keep up the dialogue, and we'll keep it up for you every Monday through Friday at 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, worldwide on the iHeartRadio network. You can follow Charlton and Big C Sports. Just download the app and go to Charlton and Big C Sports. We thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.